Okay, good evening and welcome to the town hall meeting of August 1st, 2023. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So report first. The announcements okay. Well, top of the list for announcements this evening is our annual fire department parade. This is a not miss event. Do not miss event and steps off at 7 p.m. in Roosevelt Square on Croton Avenue. Continues all the way down Croton Avenue to Main Street and all the way to the river. So be there. Anyway, starting now at Market Square, the village is having an Art in the Box event for kids as part of their family entertainment series. Tomorrow, Wednesday, August 2nd, Midnight Maisie, the popular folk and country group, will be playing the summer acoustic music series at Market Square. Campwood's Summer Sundays presents a Karen McDonald, a professional anyway, a certified Tai Chi and Qigong, say that. Qigong, okay. Instructor. Attend her complimentary 8 pieces brocade, Tai Chi, Qigong classes on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 4 to 4:45 via Zoom or outdoors at Camp Woods, weather permitting. For details, visit www.truebalanceliving.com. The Ossining Sankofa homecoming will be Sankofa 4 homecoming will be held August 4th through the 6th this weekend. It's a weekend of family, food, fun, and events. Please visit www.ossiningsankofa.org for registration, fundraisers, and updates. Neighbors Link and Open Door are partnering with the state to offer Golden Door Support Program. Golden Door is a free program for all New York State residents, regardless of immigration status. Their mission is to help residents achieve stability for themselves and their loved ones by building connections with the local community, learning about local resources, and how to handle daily life stress. This program will be held Wednesdays from 6 to 8 p.m. beginning August 17th, online via the Microsoft Teams platform. For registration or more information, contact Paula Rodriguez at the Open Door Family Medical Center. The Mike Risco Band will be playing this Saturday at the Boathouse Restaurant on Westerly Road. Okay, and that's it for announcements. And one liaison report. Yesterday, our Ossining Ambulance Corps was recognized along with the Scarsdale VAC in their part in developing the paramedicine program that gave our community so much more access to testing and vaccines during the pandemic. Recognized as a preferred way to support the senior and homebound populations, the community paramedicine program has now been made a pilot program by Governor Hochul and has been duplicated throughout the state. Hopefully one day it will be made permanent. Fingers crossed. Okay, any other liaison? Nope. Okay, thank you. All right, into our town hall. We have a departmental report. Martha, is he ready? Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Good evening. Yes, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. Hi, how's it going? Sorry, I was at my son's playoff game. Hope everybody's good. Since our last update, this is gonna go back to the end of the winter months because I missed my past 2 updates, so I apologize for that. But the rest of the winter was spent on servicing our equipment. We helped out with a couple snowstorms we had. We milled wood at Cedar Lane from trees that were cut in the parks. We made anything ranging from 4x4s to 2x12s to 2x12s by 16 feet. We used them later in the spring to build garden beds for the gardens at Cedar Lane and to make a new compost bin, which was rotting out. We helped with funerals. We made concrete benches and tabletops at our shop. We still have yet to finish them. They're sitting outside our shop. Hopefully when we get caught up, we can finish them and start spreading them out throughout the parks. Did a lot of organizing in our shop, stacked shelves with cleaning supplies that we needed spring and now. Early March is when we took down the rotted compost bins in the garden, and we made about 10 garden beds with all the wood we milled. Mid-March, we started working on the harder field. As you guys know, we did our fence work. We got a lot of we got new fences put in last year. Then it went into winter. The harder field and Finch Field got new fencing. So then when spring came, we had a lot of work to do on both of the fields to get them playable. Yeah, so on the harder field, we had to, because of the way the fence line, the fence was installed, we had to raise the baselines. With doing that, we also had to move our sprinkler lines and run them along the new fence. March 23rd, I put dates because we jump back and forth. March 23rd, we cleaned the beach at the waterfront. Then the next day, the 24th, we put in our docks. March 27th, we were back on the hard field. We did a drain along the third baseline, and we added a new basin that was collapsing just off the field. Then once the baselines were prepped with dirt, we put down new sod on both of the baselines. We edged, put new bases, and we installed all new clay on the field. April 6th, we started turning on water in the parks. We started with Ryder Park Pavilion in the bathrooms because that was being rented first. We started opening up our bathrooms. We made all repairs to leaky flushometers. There's O-rings that dry rot over the winter. We had to replace some stall doors that were broken. We then started spring cleanups. We got the soccer field and softball fields at Gerlach ready for spring ball. Then April 17th, we're back onto the harder field. We had to finish the end of the third base side. Then we started prepping the dugouts on the harder field. We also had to raise the floors in the dugouts to meet the new grade of the field. We actually did that with the help of two of the highway guys when we poured concrete. We prepped for new bleacher pads that we were going to later pour when we were done with the Finch Fields pads. They just got done a couple weeks ago. April 21st, we had our Earth Day event. We did all our prep work, loaded the trailers, all the material we needed, the fencing, the sign we put up. It was a good turnout. Then April 24th, we actually started our weekly cutting, our regular grass mowing. Then we also went back to the deal we had with the cemetery. So we started going back on Tuesdays, where we actually go back to the cemetery, all the guys to cut grass. So basically our Tuesdays consist of coming in. We'll do all the park stuff, the waterfront cleanup, get the spray park ready, mark whatever fields, and then we're all cutting grass at the cemetery. And believe it or not, with everybody there, it doesn't always work out if there's a burial or if we're doing something else in the parks. But with everybody there, we actually could cut all the grass in one day. That's not including the grass whipping, but we do get about a third of the whipping done. Then with our regular grass mowing for our parks, we need at least, if everybody's cutting, 2 to 3 days to cut all 9 parks. But sometimes it works out that we're all doing it together, and sometimes it doesn't. Not to mention all the grass cutting stuff, we're spending at least 10 to 15 hours of garbage cleanup and bathrooms every day. 10 to 15 hours a week on garbage and cleaning bathrooms. So that's it. And then April 25th is when we started work on the Finch Field. Same, kind of similar to what we did on the harder field, where we had to raise the baselines. The Finch field was a little more involved because it actually got the outfield fence was also done. So we actually had to bring the grade from the baselines. It's kind of hard to explain, but all the way out to meet like almost center field. If anybody saw the fence work when it was done, after leveling it and the bottom rail being put in, there were holes from the existing grade. Some gaps were like 9 inches deep. So that's why we had to fill in. It was a lot of filling in. The good thing in the beginning, we were able to use a lot of dirt we screened in the fall. So that way we didn't buy, we screened about 150 yards of dirt that we were able to use. Then no matter with the Finch field, whenever we got one side done, and the baselines, the inner baselines, we actually did with sod, but then like down out to the outfield line, we planted grass. And no matter what side we were doing, we're actually dealing with now too. Any rainstorm that we had washed out seed and hay and stuff, so we had to reseed the field each time. I mean, the like third baseline was like twice, and now these past couple storms we had, we actually we left the last part by the double gate where we broke out. We actually did it like 4 times. We just did it on Monday again from the heavy rains we had last week. So hopefully there's no rain in the forecast I mean, not heavy, but Thursday, Friday's supposed to rain, but hopefully it doesn't get washed out again. We also had to raise the dugouts like we did on the harder field. We actually got the annual bidder to do this. We're so behind. It worked out. It was kind of like a blessing when we didn't have to do it and worry about it. We aerated and reseeded Sally Swope back in April. We kind of planted the grass late there in the fall, so whatever grass didn't come up, it actually came in, and the park is looking pretty good. Hopefully we could get there before the end of August. We had our compost give back day back in May at Cedar Lane from the food scraps program. Memorial Day weekend, Spray Park opened up. It was only open on the weekends till school ended. Now it's open every day. It's also part of one of our daily routines. Every morning we're hosing it down and cleaning it. May 31st, we were back on the Finch field. We actually finished raising the sidelines that week. We installed new mounds, home plate, and new base anchors. We also lost a couple of days that week because the poor air quality. So the 2 days we couldn't work outside, we did some work at the cottage cemetery. We had some shelves to build. We put the AC. We hang some signs. 6/13, we started spreading clay on the Finch field. We ran short by a little bit, so we had to order. So that took like a week out of our work. So we had to wait for more clay to come. We actually finished all the clay the following and 2 weeks after. We set turf now, where you enter through the gates from the dugouts and where the coaches boxes are. We also put 2 turf mats there to prevent wear and tear. 6/26, we actually finished all the sod on the infield. And then what was left, what I was explaining that keeps getting washed out, is where the double gate is, where we were entering and exiting the field. We left that last because we had to, because that was us, the only way we could get in, bring supplies. So hopefully, I mean, it takes about 3 weeks for a good seed to come in. But the inside of the field is done. So we just now have all outside of the field to do. So we actually rented a screener on Thursday. So Friday, yesterday, and today we're screening dirt at Cedar Lane again. 3 days we screened about 130 yards of dirt. We have one more day tomorrow before we have to bring the machine back. So hopefully that'll be enough dirt to finish the outside of both fields around the fencing and the new pads we did, and the dugouts. And then whatever dirt is left, hopefully there's some left, we will use at Sally Swope when we're there. We had our 4th of July event. It was kind of a wet one this year. It was a tough call to make. It's happened over the years, but this was by far the worst one. It was a good turnout. Thing with the fireworks is once you're set up, they have to go off. That also kicked off our Friday night concerts. We've been having our concerts every Friday. This Friday we don't have a concert. We have the Firemen's Parade, and I think that's it. We have to Thursday, Friday this week. We'll be taking out the Gerlach playground. We're getting new playgrounds at Gerlach, and then in the fall, I believe Ryder Park will be getting a new playground. So right now we just have to remove the old the existing playground that's there and just prep the area for the installers. They're coming next Monday. And then after that, next week we'll be back to hopefully finish the outside of the fields. And I think for right now that is it. And like I said, hopefully the 3rd week in August we'll be back at Sally Slope, and then we have the playgrounds to take out at Ryder, and then we'll see if we have time. We'd like to get back to Cedar Lane and finish the cleanup around the where we took down the house last 2 winters ago, I believe. 2 years ago. Yeah, time flies. And for now, that's all I have.
You want to talk about what damage we took during the storm?
Yeah, yeah, sorry. Forgot to write that down. This is because I wrote this update back in June and I was supposed to know. Yeah, at Bug Johnson, we the water that runs, actually believe it or not, it runs from Ryder Park, North State Road, behind Briars. It comes under the road and it comes alongside Bug Johnson. That backed up and flooded the park. It probably took, I don't know, anywhere from 30 to 40 yards of wood chips out of the playground. At Ryder Park, we lost some head walls. We lost a head wall by the outlet side of the pond. Over the years, the pond is just filled in with silt and just dirt and rotten leaves and whatever you want to call it. So it doesn't hold water anymore. The water just basically flies in, flies out. And then past the playground, we have our road, our parking lot turns into a road, then a private road where the house is. And we lost the head wall on the outlet side of that as well. Just the amount of water that comes through Ryder Park is just intensified. And hopefully, like behind the Harder Field, there's some basins that are collapsed and some rotted pipes. So hopefully in the next couple of years, we could address these issues and better deal with the heavy rains we've been getting. We haven't been getting storms that have intensified. The amount of rain we get now is just, it's a lot. And for some of the things we have, it's just too much to handle.
Any questions?
Oh, and we had a small little washout at the Boat and Canoe Club at the waterfront parking lot in front of the Boat and Canoe Club. It wasn't as big as the one 2 years ago, but it was enough where we had to just fill it in.
Some of the parking lot washed out. They were able to patch it.
Right.
Since we have to do it anyway. Any questions?
No, I want to thank Mario and his team.
Thank you.
Seems like you have your hands full, so keep up the good work. Keep it going, you and your staff.
Oh, thank you. I mean, we apologize. I mean, we're trying. I mean, it's just, we're gonna have to sit down and talk like the upcoming projects and stuff. Cause the thing is my schedule the past 2 years has been kind of tough. I mean, with 8 hours in a day and what we do is just big projects. It's just getting tough and tough. I mean, it's just, I mean, over time, it's hours a day to work on something, but my schedule, my boys has become very intense and I hate to miss their activities and stuff. And both Mark and Alvin, they both work part-time jobs. So it's tough to try and fit some things in an 8-hour day when you're just always juggling and moving around, but we're trying our hardest. So and that's that.
Thank you very much, Mario.
You're welcome.
How's the game going? Good.
We're losing. It's 3-2. It was going into the sixth inning. So, and it's my son's old team, so he's all upset. But hopefully they come back next inning.
All right.
So we'll find out.
Thank you for,
Thanks for asking. I appreciate it.
all right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Oh, I stopped by Austin Walmore today. He still didn't finish the because I did get a list for electrical landscaping equipment.
Yeah, I have a
So
deadline,
hopefully he'll
a
set this.
pretty short deadline. So as soon as you could do that, that would be great. Thank you.
All right,
We are
I'll
looking at-
stop again tomorrow.
Thank you. We are looking at replacing our gasoline powered lawn equipment with the newer electric types. Mario has been looking at the different versions and what would work for our parks and Austin Lawnmower, and they've been working on it. So we're going to get a proposal. We have some money available from the state from 2 different pools. One from Pete Harcum, once is something greenhouse gas reducing, and we have another greenhouse gas reducing grant. So hopefully we'll be able to make a real dent in our force.
Good.
Thank you, Mario.
All right, thank you. Hopefully the next one I'll be in person because baseball is just about ending after this. All right, have a good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank-
Thank you. Bye.
All right, Mitzi. Come on up. Next is our presentation by our environmental advisory. Number 1, Mitzi Elks. Hmm? We have a whole slide. Yeah.
Oh, good evening.
Thank,
Oh, the red button.
Can you hear me?
we can hear you. Thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight, Mitzi.
Thank you for inviting us and having us. So my name is Mitzi Elks, and I am the chairperson of the Environmental Advisory Committee for the town of Bossining. I want to disclose that I have been doing this for 30 years.
You don't look it.
And I think this arrow will forward. Yes, there we go. So 30 years ago, when I came onto the EAC with a bunch of really great people, I think it was Bill Burton, who was the town supervisor.
Wow.
He reformulated the EAC. And I want to say we were probably perceived a little bit as a nuisance. We were talking about the trees, we were talking about the slopes, we were talking about the wetlands, and it wasn't first on mind of a lot of people 30 years ago. There was some frustration, but we persevered. Fast forward to now, the EAC is a necessity to the town. And I think EACs all over are necessities. The environment is top on the minds of Mario's presentation was just a really good segue into this presentation, where you hear about fires, you hear about flooding, unprecedented rains, you hear about heat just never seen before. And what is happening, global warming, climate change, the list goes on. The headlines, the breaking news, it's all top of the mind of the environment. So years ago, we used to be called the Lorax for the trees.
I'd wear that proud.
And The trees now, I read an article the other day. Oh, trees they bring up the property value. They provide shading. They're pretty. And there's a greater appreciation for steep slopes and the trees that are creating a sturdier slope. And the frogs, they're not only cute, and the fish in the ponds, but they're wetlands that need to be preserved. So what it comes down to, how the environmental committees and the environment today is, it's a health issue. People are dying from heat exhaustion and from their houses flooding. And it's an economic issue where I thought of this. It's good environmental practices yield good economic outcomes. And the infrastructures, the damage that can be done when there are horrific environmental consequences, unforeseen consequences, it plays such a toll on infrastructure and the economy. And being on the EAC, a lot of what we do is just trying to do the right thing. And so going from nuisance to necessity, here we are. And it's we're trying to just help the town do the right thing and follow what we aim to protect the environment. So I want to talk about today the mission of the EAC, an overview of who we deal with, how we do it, and who we are, and a little bit into the future of what we're looking to do. So the mission, simply to advise the town of Ossining on development and the management and protection of its natural resources. Pretty simple. An overview of that is to protect, preserve, and really at the core of the EAC and what we try to do is to strike a balance between development and protecting and preserving the environment. So who do we advise? Who do we work with? The planning board, when they receive development proposals, we are brought in if there is an environmental concern, and meaning if there's a wetland or a steep slope or trees or runoff from stormwater, we often will take site walks and will issue reports of what we suspect is of concern to the town and to elevate some issues. And just to flash back to 20 years ago, many municipalities, including Ossining, we were busy writing the ordinances, the wetlands, the trees, the steep slopes, stormwater. Most recently, we had the beekeeping and leaf blowing ordinances in the last few years. So we get involved with that. We worked with the town to develop the more updated comprehensive plan. And we also get involved as a proactive thing in trail connectivity and working in the parks a little bit. I'll talk a little bit more about that. So who do we advise? Well, we go outside the town because the environment doesn't know municipal boundaries. When water runs downhill, it doesn't stop at the Ossining town border. It keeps going, and we share watersheds within the municipalities. So just want to talk a little bit about that. And so how do we get beyond just the town? Well, we have a booth at the Ossining Village Fair every year. We've been doing it for over 15 years. And we have outreach where we connect with other townships and other communities. We also have an EAC quick guide that we put together, and it's a handout. You have it in front of you. It's in English and Spanish, and we worked on it for a couple of years. And what it does is it says, hey, Ossining town residents, we have ordinances. And did you know that we have a wetlands ordinance, and you might need a permit if you're going to do some work, and same with trees. And so that's a form of outreach. We also do work with the county. I have been on the Pecanico River Watershed Alliance Committee in trying to protect and preserve the Pecanico watershed, which Ossining, the headlands of the watershed are in the town of Ossining. And there's this wonderful committee, a group called ELA, the Environmental Leaders Learning Alliance, and it's coordinated through Teatown Lake Reservation, where many municipalities get together from environmental groups, and we share information on what's going on in our towns, and they provide workshops. And there was a group, the Hudson River Estuary Program, the report that we put together years ago in looking at the Indian Brook and Croton River watershed, and we wrote a pretty effective report there. So how do we advise? I thought I'd bring in 3 examples. And a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So I wonder, is there a cursor here? Yeah. So here's a map. We have a guy on our committee, John Ladd. He's a GIS mapper. He's a geologist. He worked for the DEC. He just puts out great maps for us. Whoops. And so this map is of a current project that the planning board is looking at called River Knoll. It's off of Croton Dam Road, and you're probably all familiar with it. And there is a concern on the EAC's part through sidewalks, multiple sidewalks, where you see the pink. I don't want to advance the slide, but the pink here, that's indicating steep slopes, very steep slopes. And the green that's below it are wetlands. And below that is a beautiful neighborhood of First and Second Avenue in the village of Ossining. So it goes beyond the town border. And the concern is, well, if you're going to take what's now wooded and you just clear cut all the trees and you build structures that are not presently, they don't presently exist, you don't want to negatively impact that wonderful neighborhood below. And so that is the concern that we're bringing to the attention of the planning board, and they're addressing it. So another example is Rinaldi. This was a project that has been approved, but nevertheless, we were involved. It's in the Sing Sing Hill watershed. The whitish map is of the watershed, and then the green map shows you the cul-de-sac that was proposed. I think it was about 10 houses, and the red, the orange, is where adjacent to this proposed site, very steep slopes and wooded. So again, the EAC brought to the attention of the planning board the concern of possible flooding down below at the bottom of the steep slopes. What was that? Okay. And that's Torview Swim Club at the bottom there, and they have experienced flooding in the past. So, it's just in the report, and the planning board, we advise the planning board. So the last example is of a project that was proposed, approved, and it's been built. It's on North State Road, Artist Senior Living. And years ago, it was about 5 years ago, or maybe more than that, when it was proposed, 6 or 7 years ago. And at first, the developer was coming and saying that, calling the water that was running underneath the site a drainage ditch. And we stepped in. We even actually, one of our middle school and one of our high school members went in front of the planning board, and they presented that this is in fact a wetland, and North State Road has a lot of wetlands and wetland buffers. And so it was then recognized slowly but surely that it was in fact a tributary to the Pecanico River. It's a stream that runs through the property with a wetland in the rear, and resolutions were passed, and now we're working with the town to have the resolutions in compliance. And so that, just another example. So ongoing issues, what are we working on? Well, we have a member on our committee who's a trailblazer. He's on the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, David Margulies. And he and his team from the trail conference, free of their volunteers, no cost to the town except for supplies. They came in and that yellow line, I'm trying not to advance the slide. The yellow line here is a connector that was built in Ryder Park. That's Ryder Park. It's a, I don't know if you can see the green line. And so we connected the west side where the playground is that Mario was talking about to the trails now, these beautiful 2 miles of trails in Ryder Park that could be accessible now from the playground, not just from behind the ball fields. So that was succeeded. And now what we're doing is working with the town to try to remove the poison ivy and to maintain the trails so that people can traverse easily. And that would be really great. So what else are we working on? We're working on, well, along these trails, and these are initiatives that were taken on by people on the committee. We're all volunteers, and we really care about the town. And so we took on a signage project where the high schoolers are actually working on creating signs along the trails in Ryder Park. And Angela, you were there. And there you can learn about, what are you looking at? What kind of tree is that? Or, any kind of foliage. So that's the website that they're developing. That's going to hold all the information. What else do we want to do? We want to strengthen some of the ordinances. The tree ordinance has a few areas that we find are weak. And so when we find the time, and we're going to work on that. We want to reach out to new residents and current residents, but also new, to let them know before you cut down your trees on your new property, you might want to know that there are permits and there are tree ordinances, and we care about the environment and its impact. And we also do some field trips. We're going to take a trip in a couple of weeks. We're going to go to the Indian Brook Reservoir. The last time the EAC did this was about 25 years ago, maybe. So it's a really cool trip, and we have a fantastic, beautiful reservoir in the town. So we're going to do that. Future initiatives, we talked about Ryder Park, how that was connected. And here we're looking to connect a larger portion of the town where, there's the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So if we can connect these parts of the town where you start at the New York State Empire Trail, the bike trail along Route 100, go from there. There's a bird sanctuary across from Route 100 that is part of the town of Ossining. It's in the woods. Create a trail through there, and then meander on to North State Road, patronize the businesses there, go to a restaurant, get some food, go to Club Fed, and then make your way to Ryder Park. And then if you go to the map to the left, well, that's a larger scale map where you start at Ryder Park in that lower right-hand corner, and you can make your way through Maryknoll, Bethany Arts, possibly Maryknoll, all the way to the Briarcliff Peekskill Trailway, which is another hidden jewel of Ossining, and goes all the way up to Teatown, and then ends at the Blue Mountain Reservation, Peekskill. It would be over 25 miles probably of open space for just fantastic trails, and really cool for the community and the county, and just then some. So that's another project that we'd love to work on. Who are we? These are the faces of the Environmental Advisory Committee. Mentioned John. He's the mapper. Jim, Erin, Marilyn, David, Ella, and Ben are our high school representatives. Donna, planning board liaison, and David, the zoning liaison. Sister Roberta Salvador from Maryknoll. Maryknoll has joined as liaison to our committee about 1 or 2 years ago, and it's just fantastic. They're very environmentally conscious, and we love collaborating with them. So we have, different various degrees from all of us, and we've always had middle and high school members, and I just want to say we're looking for new middle school and high school members. So if you know anyone or you're interested, please reach out, Town of Ossining, and under committees, I believe we're listed under the Environmental Advisory Committee. And just saying, every high school member, middle school member that's gone on to high school with us, they end up going to really great schools and really doing well in life. So there you go. And so we have great people. I just want to say special thank you to Marilyn, who helped me with the slides, to Donna, who helped me with the outline, and to all of the EAC for their volunteerism, their dedication, and just really great skills. And thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So if you have any
Give me-
questions.
No, I'm just really thankful that, you and the other members volunteer your time to be the watchdogs of our environmental community. And really take the time to learn, advise, and then where you see weaknesses in our policies, really bring forward proposals to strengthen them. So I know we'll be working together more and more. And over the 8 years, almost 8 years I've been on the board, we've really done some great work
Yes,
in protecting the
a
environment. the
long
trees,
way.
done a lot of work, and I look forward to doing more. And it wouldn't be possible without you and the whole EAC. And we thank you.
Oh, thank you. And so we'll look forward to working together more.
I just wanted, yeah, you can just leave it right there.
Sure.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, you were talking about having more high schools and middle schoolers join. We could definitely put you into connection with the Youth Bureau that's here now in Ossining. We had wonderful interns actually that interned with us here for the summer. So definitely, I know a couple that may be interested in learning more about government, and what better way than to do it with the EAC. So I'll forward you their information. You can get in contact with them.
Very important to hear from the younger generation.
of course.
Always felt that way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any
Miss.
other board members have any?
No, keep up the good work. That's it.
Thank you. Hey. It is. So. Oh. Are there any members of the public on? Okay. So they can ask questions too. One for Greg. Well, you can look at it for now. You're gonna need one anyway.
With the space bar, you can just sit here, whichever one is easiest for you.
They gave you homework.
So I've given you a little bit of reading material. I hope you don't mind. Some light reading.
Yeah, just 1 second. Martha, was there anybody on that wanted to talk about Mitzi or the EAC? That was, okay, thank you. Okay. Are you leaving? Okay, just, we want to give people an opportunity to talk to or ask.
So if there's anybody on the Zoom who would like to make a comment on the presentation, you can please click on your virtual hand if you are online on Zoom.
Thank you.
I don't see anybody clicking their virtual hand.
Okay, thank
So
you.
let's start. Okay.
Okay, my name is Paula Garber. I'm with the Cat Protection Council of Westchester. Our mission is to better the lives of community cats through advocacy, education, and community outreach. And I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak with you today about community cats and trap, neuter, vaccinate, return. I'm going to start by sharing some information about the feline reproduction cycle that might surprise you. Female cats are seasonally polyestrous, which means they have multiple heat cycles during the breeding season. As the amount of daylight begins to increase after the winter solstice on December 21st, the reproductive cycle of intact females kicks into gear, and most will go into heat by late January. A female cat will keep coming back into heat every 1 to 2 weeks until she gets pregnant, or the amount of daylight declines in October. And female cats can have 3 to 4 litters per year and average about 4 kittens per litter. But that can vary widely, of course. The feline gestation period is about 63 days. So the first kittens of the season start arriving in late March. And most female cats will have a heat cycle within 6 to 8 weeks after giving birth. But depending on the normal cycle of the individual cat, it's possible for her to have a heat cycle and get pregnant as few as 48 hours after giving birth. So just think about one female cat out there and what her reproductive capabilities are. Sorry, I'm not advancing my slides here.
Spacebar.
Oh, perfect. There we go. Thank you. Okay. Just a little bit of information about me. I'm president and co-founder of the Cat Protection Council of Westchester. I hold a master's degree in education and a diploma in feline behavior science and technology. I also have a couple of certifications in animal training, enrichment, training and behavior, and I'm a lifelong resident of the unincorporated town of Ossining, so I'm your neighbor. So what are community cats? Community cats are unowned, free-roaming cats who live in our neighborhoods and communities. All communities have community cats. They live wherever people live. Where do they come from? They typically start out as owned pets. They become community cats when they are left behind or abandoned when their owners move, which is unlawful, but it's a difficult crime to prosecute. They're also created when owners neglect to spay or neuter their pet cats and allow them outdoors. A typical scenario is someone acquires a kitten from a friend or even right off the street. When it reaches sexual maturity and goes into heat or starts spraying in the house, the cat is put outside. And that's how they end up becoming a community cat. And honestly, any unneutered cat does not make a good pet, whether it's a male or a female. So community cats are domestic cats. They're the same exact species as our pet cats that share our homes with us. The difference is that many of them are not socialized to people. Another name for this is feral, and therefore they're not adoptable as pets. So Trap, Neuter, Vaccinate, Return, or TNVR is the only humane and effective method for controlling these community cat populations. In TNVR, cats are humanely trapped and have a heart-type traps. They're spayed or neutered, vaccinated against rabies. Their ear is notched, as you can see in this photo here, the little blue arrow that's pointing to the tip of the ear that's removed during the surgery. That's the universal sign indicating that a cat's been spayed or neutered and vaccinated. And then the cats are returned to their trapping location where they typically receive ongoing monitoring care by a volunteer caregiver. Whenever possible, friendly cats and young kittens are rescued and adopted into homes, and any sick and injured cats who can't be treated are humanely euthanized. So what are the benefits of TNVR? There are many. TNVR is humane and life-affirming, and it has community support. According to a national survey conducted by Harris Interactive, over 80% of Americans believe that leaving a stray cat outside to live out its life is more humane than having the cat caught and killed. Returning cats to their outdoor homes also stems the vacuum effect. This is a scientifically proven phenomenon where new cats move in to take the empty spots left by cats that are removed from a location. So actually keeping cats in the location where there are prevents new cats from moving into that location. TNVR stops the breeding cycle and reduces nuisance behaviors associated with mating, such as fighting, yowling, spraying, and roaming, and improves quality of life for both residents and the cats. And with TNVR, the population stabilize and then decline due to natural attrition. And this ultimately results in fewer cats on the streets. Best of all, no kittens are born outside. Many kittens born outdoors suffer from illness and exposure and don't survive. A lot of people don't like to see this suffering. And it also relieves the stress on shelters, reducing intake and costs for local shelters to sort of rescue these kittens and bring them in. TNVR also promotes public health through rabies vaccination and the cats providing natural rodent control. And best of all, for municipalities, volunteers do all the trapping, transport, pre and post-surgery care for the cats. This is all free animal control labor. And these volunteers are also uniquely positioned to listen to neighbors' concerns about the cats and help resolve any issues, including providing deterrents to keep cats out of yards, or constructing discrete feeding stations and litter areas to gradually move cats out of areas where they're not wanted. So what helps TNVR work? Here are some things we know make a TNVR program successful and cost-effective. Educating residents about the program, and Cat Protection Council can actually help with that. That's kind of what we do. Making residents aware of the town's TNVR program and who to contact if they are feeding or seeing free roaming cats. Quickly responding to these calls is vital. Residents should be advised to not wait until they see kittens to call, which typically happens. We want to get the cats before they have kittens. Partnering and collaborating with volunteer trappers and colony caregivers. It's also important for TNVR programs to operate consistently and at a high level to prevent population explosions. And another thing that's been more recently discovered is that trappers must practice what's called targeted TNVR, which means that all cats at one site are done before moving on to the next site. Studies have shown that this method is the only way to reduce community cat populations. And then continued feeding, care, and monitoring of the cats is also important. Volunteer caregivers, typically at their own expense, help to ensure that the cats remain healthy through daily feeding, providing shelters for them. Both of these things help limit roaming by the cats and other nuisance behaviors like dumpster diving and seeking shelter in car engines and under porches and in sheds. And the caregivers also keep an eye on the sites for any new cats that might show up that need to be rescued or TNVR'd. So these caregivers actually play a really important role in the whole process. And another piece of this too is educating residents about the importance of spay-neuter for their own pet cats and making sure that residents have easy access to affordable spay-neuter services. The cost of veterinary care has skyrocketed, and basic veterinary care for pets is out of reach for many people. This is not just true in Ossining or New York, it's a nationwide crisis. And unfortunately, there are no truly low-cost spay-neuter services in Westchester. However, there's an organization called TARA, the Animal Rights Alliance, that is relatively close by in Rockland County, and they actually offer a certificate program to municipalities for low-cost spay-neuter services for residents' pets. If you're interested in offering certificates to Town of Ossining residents for their pet cats, I've included some information about TARA with the handouts that I gave you. And they're lovely to work with, by the way. So just briefly, I want to show you which municipalities in Westchester currently have funding for TNR. They're Bedford, the Village of Ossining, Peekskill, Sleepy Hollow, and Yorktown. And the only one on this list that publicizes its program on its website and through its police department on social media is Peekskill. Susan Haywood, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, she heads up Peekskill's TNVR program and does all the trapping. She also does outreach in Peekskill's community groups on social media and works closely with the animal control officer. I wanted to share with you, Susan keeps very good records on what she does. I wanted to share with you the costs of Peak Skills costs for the TNVR program over the last 10 years. Peekskill was one of the first municipalities in Westchester to start a program. And as you can see over time, their costs have dropped significantly. The costs reflected here are for the spay-neuter surgery, the rabies vaccine, and all other necessary veterinary treatments at the time of the surgery before the cats are returned to their outdoor homes. And that might be flea treatment, fluids, an antibiotic injection. A lot of these are just minimal add-on costs to sort of like that the cats need to sort of like set them on their way back to their outdoor life so that they're in good shape when they go back out there. And then here are Peak Skills, I like to call them cat stats. They're statistics on cats. So the first column is the year. The second is the total number of cats helped. These are the number of cats that were trapped or rescued somehow. The number that were TNVR'd, so had their surgery, babies vaccine, ear notch, and then put back in their trapping location. And then the next column is how many were rescued or adopted and taken off of the streets. And then the last column is the number that needed to be euthanized because they were gravely ill. As you can see, the number of cats over the years, and thus the cost of the program, have also gone down over the years. And it's also interesting if you look at how many cats over the 10-year period have actually been taken off of the streets, 416 of them through the end of last year. So that's a significant amount. So only 732 out of over 1,100 cats went back to their outdoor homes. The number of cats in a location will vary depending on the human population of that target area. There are calculations that can be done to determine how many owned and free roaming cats are in a particular town. These calculations are in a white paper that I've included in your handouts there. Leslie Smith, who's behind me, she's been trapping in the town of Ossining. She can provide you with some information about where she's been trapping, how many cats she's trapped over the years. And of course, you'll get a better sense after you've publicly announced a TNVR program. You'll get a better idea of like the response that you get about how many cats may be out there that need TNVR. So when thinking about these costs and these cat numbers, just keep in mind that volunteers do all the labor for free. So it's really a cost savings. There's no animal control labor costs involved at all. The only costs to the municipality are the veterinary clinic costs during the spay-neuter surgery. And then I've included some resources at the end here if for even more reading, if you like what you're reading so far. And I want to thank you for your time. The Cat Protection Council, we're always here ready to help you educate residents. We can help you put together a website page like Peak Skills to tell your residents about the program. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Before I hand it over to Leslie, she'd like to give you a quick demonstration of how the humane trap works and also tell you about the trapping that she's been doing in the town.
I have a question. I'm
Yes.
curious if you ever got any pushback against a program like this, which seems so sensible. Is there any criticism of it?
I mean, the only criticism I would say that I've heard is from people who want to protect the birds, which is understandable. We love the birds too, but really a TNR program helps birds as well because we are reducing the number of cats. We're making sure these cats are well fed and cared for. There's a lot of misinformation about birds, the predation of cats by birds. I actually have a fact sheet if you were interested in reading more about that, a fact sheet that I can. So really that's the only pushback. With the people that I've spoken to who are concerned about a TNVR program, its effect on birds, is that they don't really have another solution that's humane and that would be supported by the community. I mean, a lot of them want to get rid of the cats, which doesn't solve the problem because more cats will come. We can't force people to spay neuter their pets. By law in New York State, cats are allowed to freely roam. It's not illegal to let a cat roam outdoors. So there's always going to be cats showing up on the streets. It's, the important thing is to sort of like get control of the population and have a really robust TNVR program to stay on top of it, just like Peekskill has done.
Hi, thank you so much, first of all. So I have two questions. One is, do you get any support or collaboration with SPCA in Bradcliffe?
SPCA actually has Feral Cat Surgery Day on Mondays. So that's where a lot of cats in this area are taken for their spay neuter surgeries. So yes, and also calls that come into the SPCA generally are passed along to Leslie. And so we're sort of like a little bit of a hub for them to sort of like know where cats are, not just in this area, but sort of like all over Westchester. So
So that was my next question. So let's say I see a cat, like roaming the streets, either in the town or the village of Ossining. So is this the number we call?
actually, for the village of Ossining right now, Leslie's the main contact. She's our main trapper in the village of Ossining. So if the town were to set up its a TNVR program, it would be somebody like, it would probably be Leslie would be your main contact. It would be like the main trapper, just like Susan Haywood's like the main volunteer trapper there. It's Susan Haywood's phone number that's on Peekskill's website. The animal control officer gives out Susan's number for, TNVR. So it would be an arrangement like that, because we're not technically a TNVR group. We don't have like a group of trappers that we send out. We do more of the education and the support for municipalities to get their program going.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do want to say that the boat club, the riverfront, is one very popular place for cats to live. There's the term river rat didn't come up by accident. And everywhere from Sing Sing to each of the boat clubs has a cat that has been TNR'd. So we used to have one cat 30 years ago that had kittens, and they got trap neuter released, and the kittens had gotten adopted, and that one cat lived there for 8 years until unfortunately he got hit by a car, and immediately the vacuum effect happened and a pregnant mom showed up and had 4 kittens. And we called, and the boat club paid for the surgeries at that point, and those have been the same cats for the last 15 years. We have 2 left, 2 15-year-old cats left that we take care of, and Westerly has their cat who's also very old, and Chatham has a very old one, I believe. And the riverfront really has been pretty stable with almost no, our side, sorry, the west side of the train tracks. I know there are more colonies on the east side of the train tracks, but it's been a very successful program. We haven't seen kittens in 15 years. So it's been a very successful program at the riverfront. So I know that it works. And the other thing I wanted to say was, when I went to one of the Association of Town meetings, I went to a program on this, and it was kind of a debate, and they had the bird people there. And there were communities that were talking about how they could never, do a TNR program, and, does it really work? And they're like, how big are your colonies? I'm like, I don't know. The biggest one I know of in town is maybe 15 cats, but ours is really just, 3 at this point. And they're like, what? We have hundreds. So I was like, well, maybe you want to rethink your thoughts, So, I, in talking with some of the other towns, I started asking a couple other towns. We were in a much better position than some of the communities from around the state that I talked to. So I am a huge fan of the program. And one other story is, a couple of winters ago, one of the cats that had been around that showed up came injured, very injured. It had been probably sleeping in a motor to keep warm. And somebody started and the belt hurt. I called Leslie, who came and got him. and brought him to the SPCA, and they fixed it and stitched it, and he was fine. He healed. So, you know, they've really been very supportive of our community cats, and I'm thankful for that.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank
So I
you.
think Leslie wants to show you how she.
Let's just pass it over to Leslie.
Let me just show you what we do. Hi, I'm Leslie Smith.
Come up to the microphone, yeah.
Okay. It's a little bit of tough love. Sorry, it's a little bit of tough love when we so people call and we ask them if they're feeding. Sorry, we ask them if they're feeding. We set up a schedule, feed, and then don't feed. So the cats are hungry. So this is our Have a Heart trap. And again, it's a little bit of tough love. So we set it. Normally we put paper down here so the cat goes in on something smooth rather than just the metal mesh. Also, what I do is I leave food like a little trail to the prize at the back. So the big prize is the yummy food at the back. They walk, this is going to be loud, but I'll try. So they walk along, they're eating, they hit this pressure plate and it goes down. Now they are frantic. I would be frantic too if I was in a cage. So what we do is immediately cover it up. It calms the cat down and we take it from the site and then we bring them to, say, for me, it's my garage or my mom's basement. And then we hold them until surgery day and usually try not to make it more than a couple of days at most until surgery day. The SPCA has been great. We go there, but we're limited to how many slots, just the amount of cats that they can do on a Feral Monday. We also supplement it by going to TARA, which is the Animal Rights Alliance. I go to a mobile unit in Monroe, New York. But the one great thing about the SPCA is if a cat is injured or needs some medical care, they will do it. Whereas TARA is strictly just spay, neuter, and vaccinations. So I have to say, the SPCA has been great. Sometimes I've gotten injured cats and they need a drain and I need to hold it for a couple of days and they will do that for me, or they'll give an antibiotic shot, which is great, just to help with the health of the cat. Before we set it out, sometimes some of the cats are friendly or they're young enough to be socialized. So some of us socialize. Right now I have 2 kittens in my mom's basement. They're too young. You can tell that they just want to be loved. So I'm socializing them and then get them homes. They will not go back out on the street. As many cats as possible, we try not to let go back out on the street. That's the goal. But if they're too feral, then they will go back to where they know and where they've been feeding. So it's a little bit of tough love when you first start trapping. It's a little scary because the cat is frantic for a few seconds before you cover it and then it calms them down. So I just want to, so forgive me, but I looked at the zoning map I live in Newcastle, but I have an Austining address. I'm on what's called the West End. So I get very confused with the village, the town, whatever, but I just wanted to let you know some of the streets, they may be not in the town of Austining because I still can't quite figure it out, but Cedar Lane, Hudson Watch, Croton Dam Road, in the town of Briarcliff, the deli, the hardware stores, Pleasantville Road, Burns Place, behind the restaurant 10510, Ganung, Gordon, Fuller, near Trump Golf Course, Spring Pond Drive, Maryknoll, and Dewars Court. So that's some of the places where I have trapped. And then I've trapped in the village, and I've trapped in many areas. So, so this is what we do. And I'm a volunteer. I'm a professional photographer. That's what I do for a living. I'm a freelancer. So my hours are all over the place. So, but we try to trap every weekend to do the Monday slots at the SPCA for Feral Monday, and then Tuesday is our day for Tara. So, but again, we have to make appointments, make sure that we have and coordinate who's got what, how many cats, and all that kind of good thing. So if anyone has any questions.
Just thank you for what you do.
It's a crazy subculture, but it feels good, and it feels good to help the cats. So I have to say, and it all started because my landlady went to what's the one in Croton, the nursing home? Skyview. And I got became friendly with her physical therapist, and there was a feral colony. So I offered to help her, and that's how I got involved with trapping. So thank you so much.
Thank
you.
you.
You're welcome.
Uh,
I will say that I adopted 2 feral kittens because let me tell you, there are no mice in my house.
Sorry.
If there's anybody in the public would like to make a comment, just please click on your virtual hand. And we will bring you.
Sorry.
Set the mic on.
There you go. All right, well, we'll just end this loud noise. Thank you everyone for joining us today.
No idea.
Okay.
What is going on?
So
Okay, anyway, thank you for joining us for our town hall meeting. We got some great information today. And we'll see you at our legislative meeting on Tuesday, August 8th at the Operations Center, right? So the John Paul Rodriguez Operations Center, we will be this room may be getting renovated, so please do check the website and see where the meeting will be if you plan to attend in person.
motion to adjourn. We're out.
We're out, right? All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah, no, a motion to
wait.
adjourn to executive session for
well, there you go.
personnel, and advice of council.
And contracts.
Second, correction.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.